Hello everyone. So I saw the last guide video I made kind of popped off and people really liked having a guide like that. So I figured I'd go over another topic that a lot of people would probably really like to know tricks and tips for, and that is daily quests and the easiest ways to complete them. Now, I'm in a mission because I have to teach you a concept called tagging. And tagging is a feature that a lot of people don't know and don't take advantage of, or take advantage of and don't even realize that they're taking advantage of it. But tagging is when you hit an enemy with a weapon type or a trap, or you just hit an enemy yourself with anything, and then letting it die or despawn to something else will still count as that kill credit to you. So, for example, say you're in a crowded mission and a lot of people are fighting for their daily quest. As long as you get one hit off with a weapon or a trap and it dies to something else, you'll still get credit for it. It's kind of a secret feature that the game doesn't tell you about and Epic doesn't really tell you about, that kind of prevents people like bulldogging quests where they're keeping it from other people. So, example, let me go down to this husk right down here. So, if you look at my quest right here, this Ventures quest, Going Modern, 3 out of 300 ranged weapon eliminations in Ventures. So if I go over to this husk right here and I just give him a light tap and then I kill him with something else, it will still count as a ranged weapon in the quest right here, 400 out of 300. So that's the concept of tagging. It's very easy to understand, and you probably already take advantage of it already without even noticing, because it's just such a nice little hidden feature that the game doesn't tell you about. And if you take full advantage of it, you can just power through your daily quests and not even care about other people trying to steal your kills. All right, so the first set of daily quests that we're going to go over, the easiest ways to complete, are the weapon ones. So AR, SMG, shotgun, pistol, sniper, melee, and trap. They are really easy to complete, even if they seem like they aren't. So the elephant in the room, I'm going to go ahead and get out the way, the easiest ones, traps. All you have to do, legitimately all you have to do, is either just play a mission normally and place your traps down like you're defending, or just straight up place floor spikes in front of their spawn, just in the path of their walking to the objective. As long as they get hit once and they die somewhere else in the mission, they will still count for your trap kills. 150 trap kills is a joke. It's really easy to get. Just play the mission normally with your own traps, or if you really want to be lazy, just throw floor spikes down and let enemies walk over them. And when they die to something else, or if they die from the spike trap themselves, obviously, it will count as a trap kill. It's really basic. It's really easy. And later in the video, when I go over the hero stuff, I'm going to talk about spike traps again because they're just incredible for daily quests. And the other elephant in the room, the sniper kills. Obviously, you know, the king of this situation is going to be the vacuum tube bow, because the chain lightning actually counts as kills. The chain lightning will count as the type of weapon you're doing. So the chain lightning damage and kill will be a sniper kill. So if you just hit a crowd of enemies with the vacuum tube bow, it will count all those kills as sniper kills, unless they're Farah kills. Farah kills do not count for dailies. I probably should have prefaced that with snipers. Farah does not count for daily kills. Her split off bullets, split off arrows do not count for daily eliminations or quest even. All right, for ARs, let's go over the best AR for speeding through AR eliminations in missions if you don't plan on making a full loadout for it. The vacuum tube rifle with the chain lightning 6 perk. All you have to do is perk it up and make sure it has eliminating an enemy with this weapon causes chain lightning to strike up to 6 enemies. Hit an enemy once with it, it'll chain lightning damage to everything around it, and those will count as AR damage. This weapon is the GOAT of speedrunning AR elimination dailies. All you do is just like blindly fire into a crowd of husks, and when it kills something, it just hits everything else, and all those hits get counted for AR eliminations. That's the easiest one I can recommend. The Nocturno obviously has that huge explosion, but that is a paywalled schematic weapon that you can't get anymore unless someone gives it to you. But the vacuum tube rifle is researchable. It's Flux. You just go get it out the book. It's also in, I think, literally every llama. You can get it in just about any llama. But yeah, vacuum tube rifle. That is your AR eliminations weapon. For SMG kills, I'm going to go with the same situation, the lightning pistol. It says it's a pistol, it's an SMG. I wish they would change the name, but it is an SMG, even though it says it's a pistol. The same situation with this, perk it up and make sure it has chain lightning as the 6 perk. and then you just fire into a crowd, and any tags from the chain lightning will count as SMG kills. So the basic one I can give for SMGs, obviously SMGs are kind of high DPS weapons anyways. You could use like the pepper sprayer or the rat-a-tat or the hemlock with the explosion or the dirge song with an explosion build. But if you really just want to turn your brain off, just use the lightning pistol with chain lightning. You just fire into a crowd, everything gets tagged, and when they die, it counts as SMG eliminations. For shotguns, I actually have a few different recommendations. So my biggest recommendations for shotguns is obviously going to be the vacuum tube shotgun, the chain lightning. Again, it just chains everything in the area, and it counts for shotguns or the weapon type elimination, and it just makes daily quest a breeze to use these weapons. But you have other options for shotguns. The Pulsar 9000, it is a pretty good crowd clearing shotgun, although it immediately gets neutered if it goes against a shielder or a riot husky, because it will not go through those and it will block every bit of damage, so it is a little bit annoying to use it with that. And your other weapon that you could use is the Vindertech Disintegrator. Now, the Vindertech Disintegrator is kind of a ridiculous weapon. It uses a lot of ammo, but it has a really large range of effect for damage, and anything that's in that range that gets hit will get tagged with shotgun damage, and if they die, it will count as a shotgun kill. Now, this is like the last thing you should ever try if you're trying to speed through shotgun eliminations. I still recommend the vacuum tube shotgun because it is just better in all situations than this, and it's a little more ammo efficient. But yeah, this exists. This exists if you want to use it. The Vindertech Disintegrator, it's not a great weapon at all, but it is good for tagging enemies. All right, for pistols, we get to go over some of my favorite weapons in the game, actually. So right off the bat, the easiest one I'm going to recommend, the one that gets the daily done the fastest, is the vacuum tube revolver with a chain lightning 6-pack. This weapon is kind of good. It's not that great for damage, but the chain lightning itself is what makes it good for dailies. All you have to do is fire an enemy's head, kill it, and then all the enemies nearby will get hit with chain lightning, and there is no cooldown with chain lightning. So you just keep firing, and everything around it will get hit with pistol damage, and it will count for your daily quest. Now, the other options are some of my favorite goofy weapons in the game. The Paper Shredder is a uncontrollable explosive pistol that fires at the ground and explodes. It has a pretty okay radius. I don't remember I think it's a half tile radius wherever it lands. It does a lot of damage, but it's completely uncontrollable unless you just aim right at your feet. I love this weapon. It's one of my favorite goofy weapons in this game, and it is really good for clearing pistol dailies. Your other option, a slightly more controllable, not really good weapon, would be the Tiny Instrument of Death. All you have to do is just fire it and move your mouse around or move your camera stick on controller and aim at wherever you're trying to hit. This weapon does not do a lot of damage, but it has a pretty good range on the explosion, and that will count for pistol damage and will count for pistol dailies. But this weapon is not that great, and it's pretty expensive to use. My other recommendation would be the Founders Revolt. Now, if you started playing Save the World after June 2020 and you're not a founder, you don't have this weapon. You have to get it from someone else. But the bullet chains, they count as pistol damage, and that is the easiest way I can describe it. Also, if this is the first time you're seeing this weapon, yes, it is purple. You cannot get a gold version of the Founders Revolt. It doesn't exist. And yeah, this is a Founders weapon only. I'm only putting this in here because of the chains. It's pretty good, but not the best pistol in the game, but it's decent for dailies. All right, for melee weapons, there's a lot of fun choices here. So in melee weapons, obviously, to get the elephant out of the room, the best one is going to be the vacuum tube sword. All the vacuum tube weapons are kind of the goats for completing daily quests as fast as possible. But yeah, vacuum tube sword. Not only is this weapon good for completing dailies, this weapon is good in general. Like, one of the best melees in the game, despite it being nature locked. I recommend just having one of these, investing time into one of these, because this is a good weapon. Like, the vacuum tube sword is a really good weapon. Now, the less kind of generic, boring ones that I can recommend are any melees that have the crit explosion 6 perk on them. So, like the fishing hook right here. Crit hits with this weapon cause an explosion, damaging enemies in a 0.5 tile radius. This 6 perk is crazy. It can turn some of the worst melee weapons in the game into god tier weapons. And you use this with Whiteout Fiona to buff your crit rating even higher, so you're hitting more crits. You are just going to be shredding everything around you, and the crit explosions themselves, we call them crit explosions, count as melee damage. So it will count as your melee kills for your dailies. I recommend just getting a bunch of crit explosion melees because they are fun. They are some of the funnest melee weapons in the game. Another weapon that I can recommend would be the ear splitter right here. If you just hold down right click and stand in front of a crowd of enemies, it will hit them for melee damage. It's not incredible melee damage, but it's good. It's good, but it's nothing crazy to write home about. But yeah, the right click on it is pretty good for just continuously dealing melee damage to a crowd of enemies around you. There's also the atomic light expander, which has a similar concept where you right click and it pulses on the ground in front of you, but it only does it once, so it's not anything crazy to write home about. So I still recommend using the ear splitter in this case for a weapon like this, where you're dealing constant melee damage in a stationary position. But yeah, the atomic light expander exists if you want to use it, but you know, it's not anything crazy to write home about. Alright, so for this part of the video, I'm going to go over the destroy quests. So garden gnomes, TVs, seesaws, teddy bears, propane tanks, transformers, fire trucks, arcade machines, and server wrecks. Those are all the destroy quests you can get. And for this first part, I'm going to go over the ones that can be found in suburb zones. So I believe there's only 2 suburb zones on the map that are labeled suburbs, which is suburbs and autumn suburbs. They're basically the same thing. Autumn suburbs are just suburbs but orange. They're in Plankerton and Canny and Twine, and sometimes Ventures. Right now they're in Ventures in the Flannel Fall season. But yeah, all you really have to do with these dailies is grab your Xenon bow and just start firing. That's the easiest way to do these dailies, especially on the smaller type things. So garden gnomes, TVs, park seesaws, teddy bears, arcade machines, and server racks can be one hit with a Xenon bow, no matter the power level of the mission you're in. So if you just fire them around, you'll get your daily done in seconds. It's kind of ridiculous how easy the Xenon bow makes daily quests. So there are, however, some caveats with this. The park seesaws, usually only 3 spawn in a single suburb map. Sometimes you'll get lucky with 6, but it's usually 3, so it usually takes 2 missions to do that one. But sometimes you'll get lucky and get 6 in a single match. But everything else, there's like 5-6 garden gnomes at least in every suburb map. There's a bajillion TVs around with all the houses. The park seesaws is the only one that isn't fully completable in one mission unless you get really lucky. Teddy bears everywhere. They're in every house here, and you only need 3 of them, so you're fine on teddy bears. But yeah, in suburb zones, it's really easy. Just grab your Xenon bow and start firing, and you'll get your dailies done pretty quickly. All right, for the second half of this part, we are in a city zone because we need propane tanks and transformers and fire trucks and arcade machines and server racks. All right, so right off the bat, I'm going to be 100% honest with you. Again, with the arcade machines and server racks, all you just do is fire Xenon bow somewhere at the buildings and you will one-hit all arcade machines and server racks. However, propane tanks are a little tankier, so you do have to fire around more to hit them. They usually spawn in areas like this outside of the kind of constructions or big city buildings where you'd think there'd be propane tanks at. Again, just fire your Xenon bow multiple times around the map and you'll break those really easily. As for transformers, they are mildly annoying to find. Usually there's at least one, but you can also get unlucky where there's none on a map for an entire mission. Like I'm looking around right now and I don't see any on this city map right here. But if there were one, they would be in these little areas right here, these little encaged areas. You'd see a big green transformer, and that is the transformer that you need to destroy. As for fire trucks, if we walk over here, there's usually 1 to 2 in every daily mission. Sometimes you get lucky and there's 2, sometimes you don't and there's just 1. Right here, there's the 1 fire truck, and this fire truck has a bit more health, so in lower level missions it can be 2 to 3 shot, but in higher level missions you're not going to break this thing with a xenon bow. You do have to kind of go out of your way to look for them in the city zones. All right, one last little thing I'm going to add about the story quest is there is an extremely rare thing that can spawn in Thunder Route 99, which is the desert map with all the buildings on it, and we call it the daily truck. I just spent the past 30 minutes trying to get footage of it, and I legitimately could not find it. It is that rare and it is that unreliable for completing your dailies, but it is a delivery truck with 2 transformers, 2 arcade machines, 5 TVs, 3 garden gnomes, 10 teddy bears, and 2 fire trucks in them. And that is like the insta complete daily truck. However, it is so uncommon and rare that you cannot depend on it. But if you find it in Thunder Route 99, so in Candy and Twine, good on you. But I legitimately could not find it for this video. I'm just going to show images on screen right now of what it looks like because I legitimately could not find it myself. But yeah, that's kind of it for the destroy quest. This weapon right here is your best friend for daily destroy quest. Just fire it all across the map. You'll one hit most daily objectives. Some of them you do have to go over your way to find, like fire trucks. They usually can't be one hit. Propane tanks, they can't usually be one hit. Transformers usually can't be one hit, and they usually don't spawn that often. But yeah, all the other ones, garden gnomes, TVs, park seesaws, teddy bears, server racks, arcade machines, they can be one hit. They're very weak and they can be one hit with a xenon bow. Just go research a xenon bow out of the collection book. It's 100 flux and a couple training manuals, and you'll never regret it. This thing is the absolute goat for completing your daily quest. All right, for the kind of more obvious ones, the ones where you just play missions or get eliminations as a hero, that's kind of just how it is. You play the hero type and you get the eliminations. So for Outlander, you just do a Teddy spam build like this right here on screen with this kind of loadout right here. You don't really need to put much effort into this daily quest because you just play the game. You just play the game. And if you really want to be lazy, you can just put on a random hero type in your lead and put some floor spikes down and just turn your brain off. But yeah, with this, you just put a Teddy build in for an Outlander, or if you're a constructor, you go with a Thunder Thora build right here, where you just kind of put your base down and enemies take damage if they step on it. Or if you're a ninja, you go over here and you do a Dragon Slash build where you just spam Dragon Slash and get a bunch of ninja kills. Or as a soldier, you just use a Going Commando build and you just spam Going Commando like this and you do a bunch of damage. Actually, a recommendation if you're going to use this for Going Commando, I know people hate it because it's annoying because the sound is really annoying. But if you're trying to maximize your kills, put Sergeant Winter in there. That 0.5 tile radius with the explosion will tag enemies as soldier damage. So, you know, there's that. But for those daily quests, you kind of just play the game. You just play the game, especially the ones where you just play the game as a certain hero type. But yeah, also the complete certain amount of missions. Do I even have to explain that? You just play the game a certain amount of times. That's that one. But yeah, that's kind of the hero one. That's the hero one out the way. All right, for the next set, we're gonna go over the mission ones where you have to do a certain amount of stuff in a mission. So rescue survivors, or build a radar tower. Those are the only ones I can think of. So for Party of 25, which is 25 survivors, I recommend replacing it or just trying to rescue every survivor you can. That daily is not really worth the time and effort it requires for ADV bucks. You'd be better off with another daily. So I recommend just replacing it if you can. But if you can't, just run rescue survivors or rescue 25 survivors throughout missions you play. Now, if you get all together, don't replace that. That is a free 130 V-Bucks if you just spend a little bit of time. So your easiest ways to complete all together now are rescue survivor missions, which is you get 19 per mission if you save everyone. or evac, which you get 4 survivor credits at the end of every evac mission, or rescuing survivors naturally out in missions you play. I recommend keeping this daily. Do not replace it. It might look intimidating rescuing 50 survivors, but that 130 V-Bucks is worth it, and it's pretty easy to do if you just put a little bit of effort into it. Now, build a radar tower, where you build 4 radar towers. I recommend just replacing it. Honestly, it's a little tedious. It's kind of annoying and not worth for 80 V-Bucks, or X-ray tickets. However, if you really want to do it, there's at least 1 to 2 radar tower in every mission, and there's always 8, I believe, 8 radar towers, 6 or 8 radar towers in build a radar tower mission, so you can get it done in there. But it's 80 V-Bucks for time and effort that isn't really worth it, so I recommend just replacing that one. All right, for the next set we're going to go over is the miscellaneous ones, so open 1 safe. So the easiest one to do this daily with is dungeons. However, that's not around all the time. The Crypts dungeon has like 2 or 3 safes just hiding around corners that are really easy to find. So if you want to do this daily, just do a Crypts dungeon run and go get the safes that are around the map. You only have to get 1 of them. However, if this daily is on when dungeons is not around, I just replace it. It's not worth going out of your time to search every building for 1 safe for 80 V-Bucks. Just replace it. Another one that I recommend replacing is open 5 chests. That one is really annoying because you have to search individual buildings for all the chests around the map, or use the chest radar, or use in the zone with outlanders. It's very annoying. Again, dungeons is really easy for this, but dungeons isn't always around, so just replace this one if you get it. It's not worth your time having to search every building for it. Now, Exploration Party is another miscellaneous one where you have to fully explore 3 missions. That one is a lot easier than it sounds. Just hop on your hoverboard and ride around the edges of the map, and then do like a zigzag line in the center while you're playing a mission, and it'll work. It's really easy, especially if you're doing V-Buck missions, or you're doing a mission that you found an alert for that's good. Just fully explore the map. You'll probably get it done naturally. It's really easy to do. But if you really don't want to do that, just replace it. I recommend not replacing it because it is easy, but if you really don't want to waste your time on it, 80 V-Bucks for 3 entire missions, just replace it if you really want to. All right. For the worst daily quests in the game, we have the discovery ones, where it's discover suburban zones, or industrial zones, or city zones, or rural zones, or shelters, suburb zones. It's not good. I don't recommend keeping those. It is annoying. It's 80 V-Bucks for so much time and effort. The game doesn't really explain to you what each types of those zones are. It's really annoying because you get that daily quest and it's like, really? I have to find all these zones, all these specific tile types around the map. I don't recommend keeping these dailies. Even if you re-roll into another scouting daily, discovery scouting daily, just save it, re-roll it tomorrow, re-roll it the next day. You'll get another daily quest tomorrow anyways, as long as you don't have 3 built up. However, if you are in the insanely unlucky situation where you have 3 scouting dailies, I'm sorry. I'm really sorry for if you're in that situation. But the easiest ones to do would be shelters, because all you have to do is go around the map and find the tents or the makeshift shelters. And if you look on the map, if you see a little blue triangle, that is pointing out a survivor shelter. So those are really easy to find. You can just go around the survivor shelters. And I believe it's only 4 outdoor shelters, which is just tents. You just go find the tents around the map. They're usually on the edge of the map or somewhere towards the center. It's really easy to find that one. So if you have that one, it's really easy. The industrial construction sites, this one is kind of a lie, because there are construction site tiles in the game that don't count for this daily. But if you go in an industrial zone and look for like a crane or an excavator, that usually counts. But yeah, it's kind of a lying daily, because not everything you think counts as a industrial construction zone will count. Suburbs, this one is annoying. It's kind of like restaurants and stores. Those are the ones that count for that, like restaurants and stores. For cities, it's like police stations and fire stations and hospitals and parking lots. I believe parking decks count as the city's location. And the rural location is like broken houses and ruined structures around the map. Those are the rural locations. But yeah, again, At the end of this, I'd recommend just replacing these. Don't bother wasting your time for 80 V-Bucks or 80 X-ray tickets with these like awful dailies. But yeah, that is really it for the video. There's not really much else to explain. Daily missions are kind of really easy to do if you use these little tips and tricks that I taught you in this video. You can complete dailies in single missions with these tricks, and these tricks are tricks that I've been using for years, especially with the chain lightning weapons. Like, those things are goated, and I wish more people realized how good they were, and hopefully this video makes people realize how good chain lightning is for dailies and tagging. And I hope this video also explains tagging in more detail, because tagging is super good and a lot of people don't realize it's a feature in Save the World. But yeah, thank you to everyone who uses my code. I really appreciate it. You are funding these videos and being able to make these videos, and it gives me more encouragement to make these videos, because Save the World, it's kind of burnout for me. I've been playing it for so many years and I have everything in the game, but knowing that I can help other people get further in the game and learn new stuff about the game is really good, and it's really good encouragement. So yeah, thank you guys for watching. If there's any more suggestions you have for videos like this, leave them in the comments, message me on Discord. But yeah,